Australia doesn't play by the rules. While the rest of the world settled for normal geography, Australia created landscapes that look designed by artists who'd never seen Earth. Pink lakes that glow like bubblegum. Waterfalls that flow horizontally instead of down. An entire town built underground because the surface was too hostile for human life. These aren't fantasy worlds from science fiction. They're real places you can visit right now, scattered across the Australian outback and coastline. Today we're counting down 12 locations that will make you question whether Australia is even part of the same planet. Let's begin. Number 1. Lake Hillier on Middle Island, off Western Australia's coast. From above, this lake looks like someone spilled a giant strawberry milkshake in dense eucalyptus forest. The water is bright bubblegum pink, not pale rose or subtle blush, but intensely, aggressively pink. The lake stretches 600 meters long and sits beside the turquoise Southern Ocean, creating a color contrast so extreme it looks photoshopped. Scientists have studied this for decades, and the leading theory involves salt-loving bacteria called Dunaliella salina and specific archaea producing pink pigments. But here's the strangest part. The water stays pink even when you remove it from the lake and bottle it. Unlike other pink lakes worldwide that lose color when removed, Lake Hillier's water retains that vibrant hue permanently. The lake was discovered in 1802 by British explorer Matthew Flinders, and locals thought he'd lost his mind reporting pink water on a remote island. For over a century, nobody could explain it. Even today, with all our scientific equipment and microbiology understanding, researchers still aren't 100% certain why this specific lake maintains such intense and permanent pink color. Number 2. Wave Rock near Hyden in Western Australia. Imagine a 15-meter high ocean wave frozen mid-break, carved entirely from solid granite. That's Wave Rock, a cliff formation that looks exactly like a massive wave about to crash down on anyone standing beneath it. The rock face extends 110 meters in length, with a curved overhang that creates the perfect illusion of a breaking wave. The surface is streaked with vertical bands of color: gray, red, ochre, and brown, caused by rainwater washing chemicals down the rock face over millions of years. These streaks enhance the wave illusion perfectly, looking exactly like water streaming down the face of a curling breaker. The formation is 2.7 billion years old, created by underground granite that weathered differently than the surrounding rock. As softer material eroded away over millions of years, this harder section remained, shaped by wind, rain, and chemical weathering into its current wave-like form. The truly bizarre aspect is how perfectly it mimics an actual ocean wave. The curve, the height, the overhanging lip, all the proportions match real waves so precisely that your brain refuses to accept it's solid rock. Aboriginal people knew about this formation for tens of thousands of years, but European settlers didn't document it until 1910. Today, it's one of Australia's most photographed natural landmarks, yet standing beneath it still triggers the instinct to run from an incoming wave. Number 3. Horizontal falls in Talbot Bay, Western Australia. Waterfalls flow downward. That's one of the fundamental rules of how water behaves on planet Earth, except at Talbot Bay, where two narrow coastal gorges create waterfalls that flow completely sideways. Twice daily, massive tidal movements force huge volumes of ocean water through two narrow gaps in the Maclady Range. The gaps are only 10 meters and 20 meters wide, but they're trying to channel tides that can reach 10 meters in height. The result is massive horizontal waterfalls, walls of churning white water that flow through the gaps at speeds exceeding 4 meters per second. When the tide reverses, the waterfalls reverse too, flowing the opposite direction with equal violence. David Attenborough called them one of the greatest natural wonders of the world, and anyone who's seen them in person understands why. From the air, you can watch the ocean literally dividing into different levels on either side of the gaps, with one side several meters higher than the other. The water doesn't pour over the gap like a normal waterfall. It blasts through horizontally, creating massive whirlpools and standing waves in the narrow passages. These aren't gentle streams. During peak tide, the forces involved are powerful enough to flip boats. The phenomenon only exists because the Kimberley coast has some of the most extreme tidal ranges on Earth, with differences between high and low tide reaching 11 meters. This massive volume of water trying to equalize through tiny gaps creates physics that look impossible. Number 4. Ball's Pyramid, 660 kilometers northeast of Sydney. Rising 551 meters straight out of the Pacific Ocean, Ball's Pyramid is the world's tallest volcanic sea stack. It's a jagged blade of black rock that looks like it was thrown at the ocean by an angry giant. The structure is only 300 meters wide at its base and narrows to a razor-sharp ridge at the summit. From certain angles, it looks two-dimensional, like a massive shark fin cutting through the water. The pyramid is the eroded remnant of a shield volcano that formed 7 million years ago. Everything else eroded away, leaving just this single vertical spike of the volcano's throat. What makes it truly weird is the discovery made in 2001. Scientists climbing the pyramid found a population of Lord Howe Island stick insects living on a single shrub growing in a crack in the rock. These insects were thought to have been extinct since 1920 when rats invaded Lord Howe Island and wiped them out. But somehow, a breeding population survived on this barren rock spike in the middle of the ocean for over 80 years. The insects are jet black, about the length of a human hand, and locals called them tree lobsters. Finding a thriving colony of supposedly extinct insects on a nearly vertical rock in the middle of the Pacific Ocean is the kind of discovery that belongs in fiction, not real life. Today, Ball's Pyramid remains almost completely inaccessible, with only a handful of climbing permits issued per year. Number 5. The Pinnacles Desert in Nambung National Park, Western Australia. Walking into the Pinnacles feels like stepping onto an alien planet in another solar system. Thousands of limestone pillars, some as tall as 3.5 meters, rise from yellow sand dunes like a vast alien cemetery. The pillars are clustered in groups, standing alone, leaning at angles. Some thick and stocky, others thin and weathered to points. Many are hollow, others solid. Some have mushroom-shaped caps, others taper to sharp spikes. The desert covers roughly 4 square kilometers, and the sheer number of these formations is overwhelming. The pillars are the exposed tips of limestone formations created millions of years ago when the area was covered by ocean. As sea levels dropped, rain and wind eroded the softer materials, leaving these harder limestone pinnacles standing. But that doesn't fully explain the variety of shapes and the seemingly random distribution. Scientists still debate the exact formation process, particularly why some pinnacles formed in certain spots, while areas just meters away remained flat. The Aboriginal people have their own explanation, describing the pillars as the petrified remains of warriors who fought an epic battle. Walking through the pinnacles at sunrise or sunset, when long shadows stretch between the formations and the sand glows orange, that mythological explanation feels more plausible than geology. The scale and strangeness of thousands of stone fingers pointing at the sky creates a landscape that looks designed rather than natural. Number 6. The Devil's Marbles, known as Kalu Kalu to the traditional Aboriginal owners in Australia's Northern Territory. Scattered across a wide valley are hundreds of massive granite boulders, some balanced impossibly on top of each other, others split perfectly in half as if sliced by a massive cosmic knife. The largest stones are several meters in diameter, perfectly round and stacked in configurations that look like they should topple over at any moment. Many sit balanced on tiny contact points, defying basic physics. The boulders are the exposed tops of a massive underground granite formation that's been weathered over millions of years. As the granite cooled underground, it fractured into rectangular blocks. Once exposed, wind, rain, and temperature changes rounded the corners, creating these massive spheres. The splitting is caused by thermal expansion. During the day, temperatures in the outback can exceed 45 degrees Celsius. At night, they can drop to near freezing. This constant expansion and contraction creates stress fractures that split the boulders along their planes of weakness. The weird part is how clean and precise these splits are. Many boulders are cracked exactly in half, with the two pieces sitting side by side, their interior surfaces perfectly matching. Others are balanced so delicately that small earthquakes should have toppled them centuries ago. For the Warramungu, Kaitechere, Alyawara, and Warlpiri peoples, these formations are the eggs of the rainbow serpent from the Dreamtime. Looking at boulders the size of houses, balanced on points smaller than dinner plates, that explanation seems as valid as geology. Number 7. Coober Pedy in South Australia, the underground town that lives below the surface. Over half the population of this opal mining town lives in underground homes called dugouts, carved directly into the hillsides. The town's name comes from the Aboriginal words meaning white man in a hole, and that description is perfectly accurate. From the surface, Coober Pedy looks like a lunar landscape covered in thousands of mine shafts, mounds of white dirt, and seemingly random holes. But underground is a complete town with homes, churches, hotels, museums, even an underground golf course. The Serbian Orthodox Church is entirely carved from rock, with intricate stone altars and carved walls. The hotel rooms are naturally cool year-round, maintaining a constant temperature of 23 degrees Celsius, while surface temperatures swing between -5 and 50 degrees. People moved underground because surface living in Coober Pedy is genuinely hostile. Summer temperatures regularly exceed 45 degrees, there's almost no rainfall, and the landscape offers zero shade. Underground homes require no heating or cooling, stay dust-free, and cost less to build than surface houses. Mining families simply carved out extra rooms as they dug for opals. Today, you can attend church services, watch movies in a cinema, stay in hotel rooms, shop in stores, and live complete lives without ever going above ground. The town produces 70% of the world's opal supply, and almost all of it comes from underground mines that double as living spaces. Flying over Coober Pedy looks like viewing the surface of the moon, craters and mounds of white tailings stretching to every horizon. But underground is a thriving town where normal life happens in carved stone rooms. Number 8. Wolf Creek Crater in Western Australia, the second largest meteorite impact crater on Earth that's still visible. The crater is nearly 900 meters in diameter and formed roughly 300,000 years ago when a meteorite weighing more than 50,000 tons slammed into the Australian desert. The impact released energy equivalent to a nuclear weapon, vaporizing the meteorite and most of the surrounding rock, creating a massive bowl that's still clearly visible today. Standing on the rim, you look down into a depression 60 meters deep with walls that slope inward at precise angles. The floor is flat, covered in red sand and sparse vegetation. The symmetry is perfect, creating a circle so regular it looks artificial. The weird aspect is the preservation. Most impact craters this old have eroded beyond recognition or been covered by sediment. But Wolf Creek sits in one of the driest, most geologically stable parts of Australia, so erosion happens incredibly slowly. The crater looks almost fresh, as if the impact happened recently rather than hundreds of thousands of years ago. Aboriginal stories describe a serpent emerging from the earth at this location, which may be cultural memory of the actual impact event. The crater's isolation adds to its strangeness. It sits in the Great Sandy Desert, accessible only by four-wheel drive vehicles, traveling on dirt tracks for hours. When you finally arrive, the sudden appearance of this massive, perfectly circular hole in the flat desert landscape creates a sense of wrongness. like discovering evidence of cosmic violence in a place that seems frozen in time. Number 9. The Bungle Bungles in Punalulu National Park, Western Australia. Rising from flat scrubland are hundreds of massive beehive-shaped domes striped in horizontal bands of orange and grey. The formations look like giant pine cones or beehives standing 300 meters tall, clustered so densely that narrow canyons wind between them. The striping is caused by alternating layers of sandstone with different compositions. Orange bands contain iron and oxygen compounds. Grey bands are made of cyanobacteria colonies that colonize the porous sandstone. These layers accumulated over 20 million years as sediment built up in an ancient riverbed, then compressed into stone. Erosion carved the stone into these distinctive dome shapes, following natural weaknesses in the rock. The formations were known to Aboriginal people for over 20,000 years, but remained unknown to the wider world until 1982, when they were spotted during an aerial survey. The reason they stayed hidden so long is their remoteness and the way they blend into the surrounding landscape from ground level. Only from the air does the full extent of the dome field become visible. Walking through the narrow canyons between the beehives creates a disorienting maze. The walls tower overhead, striped in perfect horizontal bands that curve upward following the dome shapes. Some canyons are so narrow you can touch both walls simultaneously. Others open into circular amphitheaters surrounded by the orange and grey striped formations. The scale is overwhelming. These aren't small rock formations. They're massive geological structures that dominate the landscape, yet remained essentially hidden until satellite imagery and aerial photography revealed them. Number 10. Lake Eyre in South Australia, the continent's largest salt lake and one of Earth's strangest bodies of water. The lake sits 15 meters below sea level, the lowest natural point in Australia. Most of the time, Lake Eyre is a dry salt crust, stretching across 9,000 square kilometers. The surface is blinding white, perfectly flat, and so reflective that the horizon disappears in glare. Walking on the dry lake bed feels like walking on the surface of a cloud, but every few decades, massive floods from distant rains fill Lake Eyre, transforming it into Australia's largest lake. Water birds arrive in millions, fish appear seemingly from nowhere, and the dead white expanse becomes a thriving ecosystem. Then, just as quickly, the water evaporates and the lake returns to salt crust. The weirdness comes from the unpredictability and the speed of transformation. The lake can remain dry for years, then fill to 6 meters deep in a matter of weeks. The last major fill was in 2011, when floods from Queensland and Central Australia converged on the basin. Satellite images showed the massive white expanse turning blue almost overnight. Within months, pelicans were breeding on islands that had been dry salt for a decade. The lake's position below sea level means it's a natural collection point for any water that falls within its massive drainage basin, which covers 1/6 of Australia. But the extreme heat and low humidity mean evaporation happens faster than inflow almost always. This creates a cycle of death and life where the lake oscillates between being a hostile salt desert and a teeming wetland, sometimes changing states multiple times within a single year. Number 11. The Breakaways near Coober Pedy, a landscape that looks precisely like the surface of Mars. Flat-topped mesas in shades of purple, red, white, yellow, and ochre rise from dusty plains, their stratified layers exposed like the pages of a geological book. The formations are the eroded remnants of an ancient inland sea that covered this region 70 million years ago. As the sea retreated, it left behind layers of sediment that compressed into multicolored stone. Wind and rare rain carved the soft stone into the mesas and gullies visible today. What makes the Breakaways genuinely weird is the color palette. Depending on the time of day and angle of sunlight, the formations can appear purple, pink, white, red, orange, or deep ochre. Sometimes multiple colors are visible in the same formation, with purple bases supporting white caps or red walls streaked with yellow bands. The landscape is so alien that multiple science fiction films have used it as a stand-in for Mars. Standing in the Breakaways at sunset, watching the formations shift through impossible colors as the light changes creates the genuine sensation of being on another planet. The silence is absolute. No trees grow here, no grass, very little vegetation of any kind. The ground is hard-packed dirt, scattered with small rocks. The formations rise from this barren plain like monuments. They're layered cliffs revealing millions of years of geological history in Technicolor. Aboriginal people call this area a sacred site, a place where the Earth's bones are exposed. The name Breakaways refers to how the mesas have broken away from the main plateau, isolated by erosion into individual towers of layered stone. Number 12. The morning glory cloud phenomenon over the Gulf of Carpentaria in northern Australia. Between September and November, long tubular clouds form over the Gulf, rolling across the sky like massive horizontal tornadoes. These aren't ordinary clouds. Morning glory clouds can be up to 1,000 kilometers long, travel at speeds up to 60 kilometers per hour, and form in sequences of up to 10 parallel tubes stacked behind each other. The clouds roll continuously, with the leading edge rising while the trailing edge descends, creating a rotating cylinder of cloud that extends from horizon to horizon. Glider pilots travel from around the world to ride these clouds, surfing the updraft at the leading edge. The formation mechanism is still not fully understood, but requires a precise combination of sea breezes, temperature inversions, and the unique geography of Cape York Peninsula. Morning glory clouds form almost exclusively in this one location on Earth. Meteorologists have observed similar phenomena in other parts of the world, but nowhere else produces them with such regularity and scale. From the ground, watching a morning glory approach is surreal. The cloud appears on the horizon as a low, dark tube, seemingly hovering just above the surface. As it approaches, you can see the rotation, the way the cloud continuously churns as it moves forward. The air pressure drops noticeably, winds pick up, and temperatures can drop 10 degrees in minutes. Then the cloud passes overhead, and the process reverses. Multiple tubes can pass in sequence, creating hours of atmospheric chaos. For Aboriginal communities in the area, these clouds have been part of the seasonal cycle for thousands of years, harbingers of changing weather patterns that mark the transition between dry and wet seasons. So there you have it. 12 places in Australia that challenge your understanding of what landscapes should look like. Pink lakes that glow like candy. Waterfalls that flow sideways. Towns built underground to escape impossible heat. Meteorite craters preserved for hundreds of thousands of years. Rock formations striped like beehives and clouds that roll across the sky like atmospheric waves. These aren't tourist attractions with enhanced photos. They're real locations you can go visit and experience. If you found this journey through Australia's weirdest geography fascinating, subscribe for more explorations of places that seem impossible. Let us know in the comments which location surprised you most. Thanks for watching.